Hi. I'm going to give you guys all a second to move over because I know everybody's got to hop on the right live account, so. And I'm going to have to hold my tablet because it's charging. So, yeah. That was pretty much freaking incredible. Seriously badass. Fine. If y'all are going to take forever and half of you are going to pass out, I know it's Tina who's on here with me. I'm going to snag one more shot of vodka real quick while y'all get settled in, because I told you guys, I'm a realist. I cannot tell you. You guys always tell me not to cry and not to be emotional and not to act like a liberal, but if there's any one of you that could keep a dry eye through what just happened, then maybe you aren't in the right party, because honestly, there wasn't probably a 5-minute increment of time that went by that my eyes didn't water, that I didn't tear up, that I didn't feel pride, that I didn't feel reassurance, that I didn't feel all those emotions, dude. And we, as a whole, I cried the whole time, Jackie. Vicky, technically, people are going to say what they're going to say, okay? But
now I remember the girl's name. Hillary Clinton.
Okay, come here. You remember the girl's name. Hey, y'all. She said she remembered the girl's name. What's her name then?
Hillary Clinton.
That's right! Why don't we want her to win?
Because her's bad.
What do you think she would do to America if she was the president?
Her would kill everybody.
What do you think Donald Trump would do for America?
He would save everybody.
Are you excited? Who do you think is going to win the election?
Donald Trump.
Yeah? Do you pray for Donald Trump?
Yes.
Do you want to say a prayer for Donald Trump right now for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Addie wants to say a prayer for everybody. Is everybody down to pray with us? Because she's really good at praying, okay? So if you guys want to pray, I have so much passion for this country, and so does she. And she will be presidential before this is over. All right. Hi, Vicky. Texas is our faith. All right. Those hearts are people telling you they love how adorable you are. Cute, huh? All right. So you ready to close your eyes and say a little prayer for Donald Trump? All right. Ready? You want to hold my hand? All right. We got our hands. All right. Here we go. Go ahead.
Donald Trump will leave what?
Well, how do you start a prayer? What do you say? Okay. Ready? Go.
Dear God, I love you. And you. Donald Trump, you're the best because we love you very much. You're going to save the world because we really love you. Amen.
Amen. Tell everybody good night, America.
Good night, America.
Say love you.
Love you.
Make America great again.
Make America great again.
Good night.
What were those crying?
They're saying hearts for you because they loved your prayer for Donald.
And why were they crying?
They weren't crying. That's people's pictures telling you, Rachel.
No, the other ones.
I don't know where you saw that.
I saw them back there.
She does some pretty good prayers. Give me kisses. I'm very proud of you. Go, Nana. It's bedtime. Rebecca Martin is going to be very proud when she sees that, because it is for the sake of her and the fact that my children are going on their third year in vacation Bible school, that they are such good prayer warriors. So she reminds us every day when we eat that we need to pray over our food and thank God. And I know no matter what anybody says about who I am or what I stand for, that there's just no way that I can be doing everything wrong, because I look at my children and I remember that those are the same things. Yes, I know, Vicky, convention is still going on, and I did forewarn y'all that I'm not going to make it through it all. I'm going to have to catch the rest of it in the morning if I'm going to do a live for a few minutes. So I just wanted to drop in and say, kind of give you guys a few of my thoughts on the situation, which really kind of boiled down to, it was incredible. I mean, let's just address some of the facts real quick so I'm not just rambling on and keeping you guys from the more important information, which is the convention. If you're over here, there's reason for that. So first of all, I did take notes most of the whole time. I have notes for pretty much everybody and what they said and what they stood for. I'm going to have to say that I think my favorite thing that I heard the entire night, maybe not my favorite thing, but one of the things that stood out to me, yes, for day one, Josh, you are correct. That is incredible. And Vicky, I saw you say that people are mentioning that Donald Trump got the nomination on the first day. I'm going to give you guys my take on it. I'm a realist, and I'm not trying to put a damper on the situation, but I'm a realist. I've been a realist. I've tried to tell you that I don't... Yeah, they gave it to... They're going to say that they gave it to Trump the entire time, but that doesn't mean that we still need to be vigilant. Just because Never Trump was defeated today does not mean that they don't have a million... I mean, do you honestly truly believe that Never Trump has no backup plan? I mean, come on now. They have a backup plan. They definitely have a backup plan. So, I'm not saying they will or won't. You know, I'm saying Ted Cruz is very skeezy slime ball status, and that he has been extremely corrupted through all of this and has lied and fabricated everything and suspended his campaign in an effort to try to convince people that he had the American people's best interests at heart, when that had nothing to do with that. And he verified that tonight when he did what he did, when he allowed his supporters to do what they did. I honestly, one of the things that brought me around when I went from being liberal to a conservative is that I realized at some point that I was highly outnumbered, okay? I'm good, Andre, how are you? Yes, they did leave Vicky, but they're still completely committed delegates. It's not that simple. They can't just walk out and not give their vote. They'll be back tomorrow, and they'll be back with a new plan, and there's a good chance that it may happen again. And we have to continue our prayers. That's the most important thing, is to keep giving it to God and let God handle the ugly, because we all know God hates ugly. So, I'm sorry, God doesn't like ugly. So, just keep asking God for some mercy on us, and we'll be okay. You know, he's not going to allow someone like Ted Cruz and his corrupt campaign to defeat the Americans, you know, and I have proof of that. I have proof that God is here with us. I know that God is here with us and has been, because we're talking about the separation of church and state here, folks, okay? Someone explained to me if politics and government and state laws and federal laws are supposed to be separated between church and state, it doesn't make sense if we're going to have all of these incredible speakers get on stage and say that God is with us and that the prayers are working and that give the glory to God, okay? Give the glory to God. Who is Kim? Yes, Chad. I don't know if you caught earlier when I posted the video from Instagram. I was livid earlier and I wasn't buzzing, so I wasn't chilling at all. I was just mad as shit. And I saw what happened, and I hopped on Instagram and launched a video, because if you guys haven't noticed, I do the live videos and then stationary videos and the Instagram videos, which is why there's an overload of videos, because it's way easier that way. But Leslie, what happened with the before I get there, Chad, I did the video today in regards to that right there on Instagram, and launched it on Facebook also, that regardless of what happened today and regardless of what happens tomorrow, I've already started taking ridiculous amounts of notes. I have notes everywhere. I stay taking notes for y'all, for myself, so I remember, because like I said, mainstream, like we've all said, mainstream media is just meant to distract us. So I take a lot of notes so that I can be sure that I don't forget about important things that need to be reminded, that we need to be reminded of. For example, the fact that every single one of the delegates, as I did mention in that video, I have the states written down. They, for some stupid reason, they wrote down they said out loud which states had actually gone against the Trump campaign, and so I wrote them down. And I figure it wouldn't take much research to figure out which ones were Trump supporters versus which ones were a part of what happened today. And they sealed their own fate. I don't feel guilt. I don't feel any remorse. I don't feel like I'm hindering anybody's life. I feel like you make your own decisions as a grown-ass adult. You have the capacity in your brain, and the common sense should be instilled inside of you to figure out right from wrong. And if you choose to go against us, then we're going to do what we have to do. And if that comes down to being sure that those delegates' names are burned into the heads of the GOP for the sake of the future, that we never have to deal with them again, then that's the way it has to be. That's why I have a website. That's why I blog, because I can't allow those things to just be swept under the rug anymore, okay? We have to do something. We have to stand up, okay? And we will. We are. You know, it was a wonderful evening. And yes, it was rough earlier, and I really guess I walked into it with very naive mentality, because it was to be honest with you guys, this is the first RNC I've ever watched, okay? I've caught bits and pieces, but no, I've never watched an entire RNC. I have been sitting at my computer all day long, okay? Because I know that if I miss a single moment of something that they say, there's a good chance that our mainstream is going to corrupt what came out of their mouths, and it's not going to look the way that it actually was supposed to look. And so I felt that it was necessary to give them all a fair chance and to portray them properly. And we had representatives on stage on behalf of America the entire time, okay? Honestly, what I thought about it was that it was cool that when Donald Trump came on to relieve Melania to walk off the stage, they actually showed how many people were in the audience, which was really cool. They don't usually do that, so that was pretty sweet. I'm pretty sure he was pretty stoked about it. But so once again, we're getting totally sidetracked from everything, and I need to go to bed. But I'm going to point this out for all the liberals who might see this. Earlier today, when that happened with the Never Trump campaign and the Cruz supporters trying to do what they did earlier, apparently the Democrats have still not figured out, after all this corruption has been exposed and we've schooled them time after time after time after time after time, they still haven't figured out that being intelligent, having a valuable vote in this election requires some of your own research. So instead this time they allowed the Occupy Democrats page to tell them what happened at our RNC, not even their own convention. They took what the mainstream media told them happened at our RNC. Mind you, they gathered that information from maybe a 30-minute chunk of video footage that they saw, whereas people like me who care enough to do the research on my own and see the truth for what it is, for what it really is, they chose to just categorize the entire election. And based on what they saw on mainstream, which just is more testimony to how corrupt mainstream is, you have about 1 million, billion, trillion Democrats right now who believe that the reason that happened at RNC today is because we, the Trump supporters, do not agree, quotes, I'm quoting this because we all know this isn't accurate. Their belief is that we, the Trump supporters, started the problem because we wanted the rules changed to allow Donald Trump to be elected, not Ted Cruz. Now, I could go on for days about how inaccurate your information is, but we all know you don't do your research, so I'm just going to tell you right now. Really simple terms. You have it ass backwards. Let me tell you, you could not be more inaccurate than you are right now. And Occupy Democrats should be ashamed of themselves for allowing that to cross their page and watching the reaction from Democrats when whoever it was that cropped that video to launch it for the liberal agenda had to have seen enough to know that that is not what happened. So shame on all of you. You're sheep and nothing more than sheep. And you're all about to get skin full, and we're going to wear your wool around, just so you know. And I'm for PETA, okay? But you guys are idiots. All of you. You guys are idiots, and I'm over it. We need to, I'm done with it. I'm done with this. You guys need to do your research. You guys looked extremely ill-educated today, and I could not keep myself from commenting on how stupid all of the liberals who were commenting on that shit today were, because it was just complete negligence, carelessness for your own country. So, I just can't believe that many people are that ill-educated sheep. But anyways, my favorite speech, which you guys keep asking, yes, Oliver without God, which is why I said that now it's obvious that the RNC has rejected church and state. They don't care what anybody says about bringing God back into this nation. It's obvious that the God-fearing Christians are going to be the ones to save this world and save this country, which aligns perfectly with God's plan for us. So really, it's no surprise at all. Truth be told, this could be Revelations. It could be the New World Order. You know, it could be anything. It could be all of everything that we ever believed. And honestly, if we're the ones on the right side, if we're the ones doing what it is Jesus did on this planet, if we're the ones living to be the most like Christ on this planet, and we truly believe in our Savior, and we are committed to saving mankind versus killing everybody who doesn't believe the way that we believe, then we have nothing to worry about. truth be told, we don't need to worry, okay? That's why I don't worry, because all of you Christians know that with God in your heart, either way, we're protected from everything that they do. It's not us we need to worry about. It's the God-fearing, Jesus-loving, mankind-loving, heartfelt people that we are that are terrified for the people who do not recognize God as the Savior of every man on this, every woman on this planet, every human being. That He is the number one. If you put Him first, then you don't have to fear what's going to happen, because it makes no difference anymore. Our battle is not with the flesh, okay? It never was. So I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to die for this. I'm not afraid to die for America. I'm not afraid to die for God. I'm not. Jesus wasn't afraid to die for me. So I don't really care what they have to say. So that being said, my favorite, before my favorite, the RNC college chick. Did anybody see the chick that was in charge with the dark brown hair and was super duper hyper? And God, I wanted to steal her speech and run on stage. So she was interesting. She said something that stuck out in my head. For my generation, she said something along the lines of, we are the new faces of the GOP, and there's too much old and not enough grand. And at first I giggled, thinking to myself, girl, you probably just lost your whole support, all of your family. It's probably gonna be like, whoa, girl. But you know what? Then I started to think about what she said, and she's right. There's some truth in that statement. It's the grand old party was the original, and at that time they weren't old. It wasn't too much old and not enough grand. It was a whole hell of a lot of grand and not any old at all. It was brand new. Okay, and since the grand old party was developed and we developed this nation, we have done nothing but decline as a whole. Okay, we haven't gotten better. Nothing has gotten better for us. There have been times of progress. There have been times of good things that have been accomplished in this country. But as an overall, if you really, really dig deep and you really can humble yourself enough to admit it, we've been headed for destruction for a very long time, okay? So what that says to me is that what we need to do is bring this nation to the times. If we need to amend our Constitution to do that, if we need to make give state laws more, whatever needs to be done, okay? To unify doesn't necessarily mean that the laws have to be made one way or the other. It just means that you need to find a good balance. You need to find an in-between. We need to be able to represent everybody who's here legally in this country, okay? And if that means eliminating some of the old, outdated stuff that we're dealing with now, then fine. We're in a different century than we were when the Constitution was written, okay? So, I could go on for days about what things did or did not exist, or what issues we faced back then that we didn't face until now, and it's common sense, people. Anybody who tries to tell you the Constitution needs to be left alone needs to wake up. This is about amending our laws, you guys. This is about making our laws the laws that govern us, so that when people break those laws, they're punished properly, and people won't think it's acceptable to just continue breaking those laws. Chad, I appreciate that so much. As you know, I love when people tell me that, because Lord knows it's a payoff when all you guys have to say is, you're my number one source of information, and then all the hours I spend researching are worth it, because that's all I want, is to just for you guys to come to me. And if you have a discrepancy in something that I say, then tell me and I'll do the research. I promise I'm not going to tell you you're wrong just because I believe that I'm right. That's not what got me here, okay? It's not. Just like Donald Trump, I want the best for all of us, for everybody, not just me. I have a very fantastic life. I've lived a very luxurious life for someone my age. Anyone who knows me in real life can attest to that. Most of you who don't know me in real life can attest to the fact that I live a very luxurious life. You know what I did differently than people who can't say that at my age? I worked my ass off in college. I raised my children the way that they behave now. I prioritized my marriage as much as I possibly could. Yes, my marriage has not been perfect. There's been moments of just chaos. But you know what? I trust in God, and God has always led me home. And look where we are now, in a better place than we've been in years. And he's my biggest support through this. When one of the biggest battles that my husband and I have ever faced is the fact that I didn't feel like he was a support for my dreams when all I ever did was support his dreams. And now look, you guys can see that that's just not the case anymore, you know. And it's about thinking outside of yourself. If you think about, it's like ask not what your country can do for you. Okay. Remember that every day, and you'll get somewhere. You will not be a burden to mankind if you can just remember every day that this is not about what you can do to make your life better, but what you can do to make the entire country better, to make the whole world better. If you want to be that big, use your talents. One of my favorite quotes from God is, I pray at the end of my life, God will say, you used everything I gave to you. Everything that he instilled in me has been utilized in my life. I don't want to waste anything. So, Carl, that may be also accurate. But again, things like gay marriage did not exist back then, you know, and it's a fine line, you know, and I'm not saying that I'm right or you're wrong. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't be necessarily that, like I've said a million times, that's my personal opinion. However, I'm a firm believer that if you're going to ask the people, if you're gonna truly make change for the benefit of everyone, the only way to do that is to truly hear the voice of everyone, which is what's made Donald Trump so much different than every candidate before him, even Mitt Romney. I mean, their campaigns were entirely different, and now look at what Mitt Romney has done to show his true colors and where his heart lies. It's the difference in where your priorities lie. Donald Trump has everything that there is to have, okay? At 28 years old, I don't have anything to complain about, okay? This isn't about the fact that I feel deprived. I don't feel deprived of anything. I also don't feel like I was negligent in very many areas of my life. And from the time I was about 19, 20 years old, I realized that I had entrepreneur skills in me, and I had hustler skills in me, and I could make something in my future. And it took me a while to figure out what my passion was, but here we are. We all know where my passion is. I went to culinary school just so I could change my major to government. Like, it's a matter of figuring out what you can do to give back to people, what you can do to contribute, and that's where I stand, is just to contribute. Andre, I honestly, I don't think that most people even understand how imperative it is that America takes care of each other and ourselves and our own, because the way that we behave inside our own borders is a direct reflection on what happens outside of our nation. That's what being the greatest country on earth entails. If you're going to be the greatest country on earth, whether or not there's people who don't agree with the way things are run, the reason you're identified as the greatest country on earth is because what you're doing is great. What you're doing is what most people in the world want, okay? What people dream about, what people have come here for decades, centuries to get away from. In case this is what we came here for. We came here to be free, okay? To live for the pursuit of happiness, unhindered by the government, okay? It's so many of those speakers said to us tonight, the less government interference, the better small businesses do. If it starts with small businesses, it only moves up the chain, the food chain from there. It's small business, and then larger business, and then larger business, and then corporations. If small businesses need less government, all businesses need less government, okay? That's the way that free trade market is going to be successful. We can take the negativity away from free trade, even international free trade, if it's done properly, okay? It's just a matter of the fact that, just like they all said so many times, we are seriously lacking leadership, okay? We were. But then Donald came along. And now I can truly tell you that I believe in my heart that no matter what this election, no matter what happens, no matter what the outcome is, first of all, I'm not going to ever tell you from maybe before now, I was a little bit skeptical, but from now, from this evening and seeing what happened tonight, especially after the Never Trump campaign failed miserably, I'm going to tell you right now, I truly believe that we have this in the bag. I do truly believe in my heart that this is going to be absolutely catastrophic for Hillary Clinton. I believe that she's going to have a hate in her that she never knew she could have for Americans, which is unbelievable considering the woman pretty much hates us more than any other nation on this planet already, which is really sad that our people would consider putting someone who had such a disgusting despise for her own people in office to represent them on an international basis. So you're going to make the most... Yes, Cruz is done. As far as I'm concerned, Cruz is done, yes. But I also pay really close attention to detail, and I don't just watch the RNC. I know a lot about it, so I could tell you, yes, Cruz is done. If Never Trump failed on the first option that they had to shut us down and they couldn't do it, there's a good chance that now the RNC is just going to be like, quit wasting time. I'm not going to lie to you. I will blame the Never Trump campaign for the fact that I had to sit here for 2.5 hours waiting and figuring out if they were even going to set it, put it back on and everybody was going to get sent on stage and shit still. Like, we shouldn't have to do that, okay? If they have a problem, they can leave and we don't care, okay? Just go. Just get the hell out and let us continue. Like, we've been waiting for this for months. Okay, for 8 years we've been waiting for this opportunity. So if you want to act like a baby, take your ass to the DNC. You're at the wrong building. You showed up at the wrong convention. So, as far as Donald Trump's accident, which I had written into the notes, clearly he's fine. Looking fantastic, thinner every time I see him. His wife, I think that's the first time I've actually heard Melania speak for a significant amount of time, and that was lovely. She is the cutest thing. Not at all, Chad. I'm not an angry person. I've already battled those demons and been through 5 years of marriage battling anger management and PTSD, and we just don't like to yell anymore. It's very rare anymore that I raise my voice. I want to know, what's this pink, whatever the hell it was? Oliver, that may be true. And Zayden Singh would say the same thing. He will argue all day that the problem with mankind is the lack of God in their hearts, and atheism is an issue with Christians. But you know what? We live in a world where they have the right to believe or not believe. They also have the right to believe in any God they want to believe in. And atheism is a difficult thing, but I'll tell you this right now. My mom spent probably 25 years of my life telling me that she was an atheist and she didn't believe, and she didn't, when she thought she believed that everything that happened around her convinced her that it wasn't true. But I'm going to tell you right now about the day that I was baptized in Texas last year. I was baptized on October 4th last year for the first time in my life because I committed to not getting baptized until I knew what I was taking part in. I finally decided I was ready after being in church for a long time. I knew what I was getting myself into and why I was washing myself clean. And my mom, when I had been staying with her last summer, had given me a Bible of hers, which was surprising in the least to even have a Bible from my mom, considering she told me for 25 years she was an atheist. She passed down a Bible to me that she had in her bookshelf, and had a soft case around it, like an old school sewed soft case around it. And I took it home not thinking anything of it. And the day that I got baptized, and on the drive to my church, I just kept thinking, God, I wish my mom, I really wish God could tell you that you could just reach into her heart and really show her who you are, so that she would know that even in her toughest trials, that you were in control. And my husband can attest to this. My mom can attest to this too. I was not even a block away from my church getting ready to be baptized with my mom's Bible in my lap, headed for the church. And I opened the book. I opened the cover to check out her Bible, Code Pink. There you go. All right, feminist. That's all you have to say. I just needed to know where she was coming from. I figured the pink had something to do with feminism. I'm going to look into that. School those bitches too. I opened the Bible, and on the inside of the hardcover, the soft cover, there were notes, and I pulled them out, and they were in my mom's handwriting. And you can't mistake my mom's handwriting. There's no one's like it in the world. You just can't mistake it. And tears welled up in my eyes, and in that moment I knew that I had a fighting chance of bringing my mom to God. She had already been there. She already knew. And so I got baptized that day. As a matter of fact, before I even showed up, I called her and told her, and even she was mind blown to hear that her own notes were still in that Bible. So I took them home to her when I went home this last time, and we kind of sat down and went over them. And my mom, my own mother, who I had no idea was even willing to open her heart up to that, educated me on things that I had no idea about in the Bible, about God. And she's the one who said to me, whether or not I believe that God exists is between me and God. But I'm going to tell you right now, there is hardcore, verifiable evidence to prove that Jesus Christ walked this planet and he gave his life for me and you. So what I have committed my life to doing, what she said is, I have committed my life to being as much like Jesus as I can, and I'll figure out the rest in between, because he was a man, and I do admire what he did. Anybody who can live that way can honestly seek forgiveness from God when the moment comes and move on with their life. And that was incredible. That to me was all the testimony I ever needed. And that was where I realized that no matter what happens in the flesh, no matter what happens here on this planet, I'm protected by the blood of Jesus. So I'm going to be okay no matter what. And I knew in that moment she was going to be okay no matter what. And then this last trip home to California, my twin sister let me take her kids to Bible study with us, to youth group with us on Sundays. And I knew they were going to be okay, because we all know that all the babies are protected. We all know all kids go to heaven, okay? So now my sister is allowing, if my twin sister is allowing me to to introduce her children to the love of God, to God's forgiveness and mercy in our life, then there's a very good chance that she's open to the idea, period. Okay, that's good enough for me. That's all I need to know. And Oliver, I haven't even finished reading it. I've read most of it now, but I haven't finished reading it yet. Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. So that's my story as far as God is concerned. That's why even when I get stressed out and frustrated about martial law and I go off on you guys and I tell you guys all this shit, at the end of the day, when I lay down in bed, I ask God to forgive me for the missteps I've taken through each 24-hour period. I repent, and in the morning I wake up, I put my feet on the ground, and I start over. And that's how I get through, because that's gotten me through since the moment that I dipped my head into that water. So my children have been nothing but progressing since the moment they stepped in VBS for the first time, and they love it. They love God. You know, you can see that. Most children don't even know what prayer is, and my baby girls pray better than I do. So that's good enough for me. And I truly believe that God has his hands in, exactly, Derek, you can, if you love mankind, if you love your fellow human, there's a good chance you believe in some greater power anyways, even if you don't know what that power is. Most atheists that I've ever encountered, especially the Trump supporters, their atheism is just based on a lack of being invited into a certain religion that has made them feel home. So that happens to a lot of people, you know, when you feel outcast. It's just a matter of finding the right church. When I went through a million churches. I've been in Pentecostal churches, I've been in Catholic churches, I've been in Christian non-denominationals. I was never comfortable enough with the church I was in to give myself completely to God until I found my home church in Texas, and then I was ready. And they taught me. Fellowship became a part of my life, and that when fellowship entered our life, it was a change for the greatest. So I truly believe fellowship is where you need to be. Surround yourself with people who are involved in fellowship, and you'll make leaps and bounds. So Oliver, yes, whether or not he is supposedly, I mean, I don't know, that's between him and God. It's not my place to judge. Supposedly he has given his life to Christ now. He has been saved. And I know that in the very beginning of this, one of the first videos to go viral about Donald Trump that was positive was a video of a whole bunch of different pastors and preachers of different religions just putting their hands on his body to bless him, to bring the Holy Spirit into his body, even if he did, to cover him, basically. So he, at some point, decided he was ready for God to enter him personally, to absorb that all in its entirety and to be forgiven. And he, as far as I know, he has. And I heard the man in his ad the other day say that we need to pray, and an atheist would never say that. Okay, so obviously there's progress being made. So have faith not only in Donald but in God, that there's work being made there, and that's why things like that tonight happen. I've been in Baptist churches too, Judy. I mean, they're a little bit intense for me. I'm really, honestly, my church was really, really super Christian, non-denominational, and very, very much simple for me to understand. And then I kind of got intertwined with the Pentecostal situation, which almost completely shut me down to it. So instead of shutting down, I just asked God to clarify in my mind where it was I was led in a different direction, not necessarily in the wrong direction, but in a different direction than where I felt comfortable. And maybe that's a foreign thing, Oliver. I'm not a big fan. I believe evangelical Christianity leads to rich, corrupt crap, as far as I'm concerned. I like Joel Osteen. I like people like that. I do like hearing them speak, but my pastor taught me that there is inspirational and then there's informational services, you know, that you can share. And I have learned over the years of being in church that I really absorb the most information. I really make more leaps and bounds when I'm being given informational pastorship than I do from inspirational. And I've just found that most evangelical churches or most evangelical pastors seem to speak a lot about things that people want to hear versus things that people don't want to hear. And I made more progress as a Christian when I was hearing things I didn't want to hear than I did just hearing the same things I've heard in every church. So it's to each his own, you know, that's between you and God. That's my relationship with God. That's where I stand. Kind of like the difference in the Old Testament and the New Testament, Andre. I feel you. It's hard. That's why I'm grateful for my spiritual leaders who, like Rebecca, who have broken it down for me and really made it easier to understand, because I feel you on that. It is definitely difficult to understand, especially when you know, are reading the Old Testament in comparison to the New Testament. It's extremely different. It's extremely hard to understand, especially when you're young. So, Stephen, that's true, which is why we continue to pray for them every single day. I would never tell you that I'll forgive any single person who has spoken to God, if that's between them and God again, but your actions speak louder than your words. If you're going to give your life to God and you're going to repent for your sins, then you better believe you better behave like it as well, because my God didn't teach me to seek forgiveness and then to continue acting the same way. If you know where repentance is, it has absolutely nothing to do with speaking. It has everything to do with acting. So if they want to prove that, fine. Right. I mean, it's hard to believe that man can be so wise and have so much love for mankind to the point where he's willing to put his entire everything he's ever worked for at 70 years old on hold to save mankind. There's days that I feel like what the mission that I've been given from God is to really help try to make mankind a better society, a better race as a whole. And so I can only imagine how he feels about what he's doing for this world. So yes, God must be there playing a huge role. Yeah, King James Version is the one I have about 7 of them laying around here. Most of them are New Testament. So hey, like I said, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of that. My soul is already saved, so this is just a body. Okay. So, that was so not even the topic we were supposed to be going over, but it's probably a good thing that we got it out of the way. I was going to tell you guys Trump is fine. He showed up on stage. They were in a car wreck earlier, but I guess he's fine. Hang on. And then Willie Robertson. Yes, everybody. We're all, even after we're saved, we're sinners. Okay? I mean, like I said, I have to ask God to forgive me basically every day, every night when I go to sleep. I pretty much have to seek his forgiveness and repent for my evil ways, because I tend to get carried away. I tend to stray from having faith in him because my fear as a human being takes over, because the fear of death is always a scary thing to think about. But when I really remember what it is that why it is that we're fighting for this, and who it is that led me to feel safe enough to be able to fight for this in the first place, you too, Kim, then I'm okay. That's okay with me. I can live with that and die with that. What literal crossroad are you at? I heard in Korea. Well, Jerry, you heard in the Quran they said we were the Antichrist? Psh, please. No one saved by the blood of Jesus is an Antichrist, I can tell you that. I would venture to say that if the Antichrist is coming, they'll probably put a bullet in my head for this too, if anything. But I would tell you, honestly, my honest opinion, I was going to tell you who the Antichrist, in my opinion, would be. I would probably go with either the Pope or Bernie Sanders. So, that's just my personal take. Stephen, on the spiritual battlefield or the political battlefield, which battlefield do you speak of? Because I fight quite a few battles every day. Yeah, Jerry, let me know what you find. But honestly, I truly... Obama doesn't fit the profile for the Antichrist. He does fit the behavior, but he doesn't fit the profile. He's not... I don't know. I think Obama was more of just a filler for Hillary. She could... I don't think she's anti. I honestly, truly believe Hillary Clinton's being led by a larger cabal. I have the armor of God, so I'm sure I'm okay. Like I said, I seek God before I reach out to somebody who I know there's a good chance is gonna try to defend their beliefs or the mainstream media beliefs. And I truly believe in throwing on your armor before you attempt that battle, because guarding your heart from the things that they say, that's the biggest thing, is to be strong in your armor. If you have a good armor of God and you keep that gear on all the time, then even if what they say isn't... Obama is a Muslim. Even if they don't agree with you, even if they tell you everything you know is wrong, everything you think is wrong, who cares? If you have... Oliver, don't say that. I love that guy. Yes, of course it's been tough. It's been tough in the sense that I've had to question friendships. I've had to question relationships. If you saw the video between Junior and I last night, and you could see the emotion being expressed there. He doesn't take it serious the way that I take it serious, and a lot of people don't take it serious the way that we do. And that's the part that's the most difficult for me. Of all the armor that I carry on me 99% of the time when I'm not broken down by horrible things that have been said or happened, 99% of the time, the first thing that I lose, that I'm weak in, is my heart, because it really just is a shot through the heart when someone that I love, someone that I know should trust me, and all the research I've done and the heart that I have and the way that I've been so tolerant, when someone like him, who I feel like should be on my team, should be Team Donald, Team America, Team World, Team Humans, Team Mankind, is so selfish about their opinion. No matter how many facts you throw at them, it doesn't become a battle of whether or not I know more than you. We all know that I know much more than him. I know more than a lot of people because I spend too much time researching. But that's a direct blow on my heart, because at the end of the day, at the end of this, when push comes to shove, I'm going to be the one left to decide which of those relationships I can salvage based on the way that they feel, because this is going to be the line in the sand that they've drawn, that we're not going to be able to continue most relationships and friendships with people the way that we had before. You know, there's going to be a distinct difference in society over this election, and that's something that I have to come to terms with. That's something I have to seek God with, and pray that He'll give me guidance in that, because it is hard. You know, I go through emotional battles and nobody's ever going to understand, because I have reached deeply into, you know, so many people's hearts to try to pull out the most emotional side of them. And when that cannot be, when my arms are not long enough to reach and I have to let go, it sucks. It sucks really, really bad. And more than most people, I've had to release a lot of those toxic relationships from my life to be able to move forward with this mission, because they've deterred me from what I started out to do. And I don't have time to sit around and argue. And Junior's, I love the guy to death, I really do. And last night was a very, very intense conversation in comparison to the most of the ones that we've had. But it left me last night laying in my bed in tears, thinking to myself, how is it that you don't love me the way that I love you? And I hope that he's watching, because it sucks, dude. It really, really sucks. It does. I've lost a lot of friends over it, you guys. I've lost family over it at this point, you know? Like, I've been called every name in the book, but I'm not going to back down, because someday, like I tell you guys all the time, they will thank us. They will thank us. They will thank us. Everybody's going to thank us. Exactly. Oliver, the Antichrist has to be a socialist. So Bernie Sanders was actually... I love you too, Derek. Scott, it's the truth. It's the truth. Those were the truest Americans you're ever going to see. That's why it was such a wonderful night for all of us who got to witness that, because those are the people who truly represent America. And we finally got to see that everything that we believed was not going to be regurgitated like it was nothing anymore. It was just, they truly represented us the way that we deserve to be represented. And I am nothing but truly proud tonight of all those people. I mean, I wish I could be there to shake their hands. I wish I could slap the shit out of all those delegates that acted a fool, but I wish I could shake the hands of all those wonderful speakers who said what they said. That was powerful. That any liberal who even caught a half a second of that should know better. I'm pretty sure that everybody at this point has lost friends and, you know, has had to put family on the back burner. And, you know, it's, I tell myself every day that it's the fact that I know that we're so on the right track because we have what they do not. We have the one thing among us, even in the atheists, they have faith in something better than evil, okay? They have faith in something stronger than what we've been given, okay? If there was no God and there was nothing better than this and all we were left with was mankind and the decisions mankind could make, whether we were null and void of common sense or heart for mankind, if that's all we were left with, then all these people would not be fighting for something more than we've been given. Because honestly, the Bernie's free ship plan was almost impossible to compete with. It's a great blessing in disguise that God eliminated Bernie from the election, because it's very, very difficult to compete with that, because our way of life doesn't teach us to be lazy and just take free handouts. It doesn't. You know, the way we believe doesn't allow us to just sit back and do that, to just wait for somebody to give us everything. Our God taught us that if you're gonna do everything you can in your life to progress your own life as well as everyone around you. Turn every nation into disciples. And even if you can't, you never stop trying. You never stop trying. Stephen, even if he isn't the only thing that we have, he's the first thing that we have. If we could just learn to give glory to him, to get down on our knees when it's not going the way we need it to go, it's usually for lack of prayer. It's usually for lack of humbling ourselves enough to let go of the control of the situation. And then when we can remove ourselves from a situation in the flesh and make it a spiritual one, then it starts to go the right way. And that is a true testimony from my life. That has saved my marriage, that has saved my parenting, that has saved my drug addiction, it has saved every part of who I am. That's it. It's not about making God the only thing that you have. It's about making God the first thing that you have, and then everything else will fall in line. That's it. That's the bottom line. That's all he ever wanted, was to be first. If you can bless him as first in your life, you can admit that you are the one, the only, the creator of all, and everything I have is because of you, then everything else will fall in place. And usually it happens very quickly when you bring God into your life. It's one of the scariest things is for people to say, what do I have to sacrifice to bring God in my life? Not very much. Not very. You have to humble your pride. That's it. And then you will get, and look where that has led. If you guys knew me 10 years ago, you wouldn't even believe I was the same person. All forgiving. Always forgiving. Always. Because God knows, you guys, I have spent most of my life being so far from perfect. Even in my most recent battles, you guys, I'm never ever going to be flawless. I have battled drug addiction because it resides deep in my blood. I have battled drug addiction. I have battled so many things. I have been the most verbally abusive person. If you don't ask me, ask my twin sister the way that I used to treat people. I have stolen from everyone I've loved, everyone that I still love. And you know what? Those people have forgiven me. If those people have forgiven me, then I need to forgive me, because I know that God has forgiven me. That's the bottom line, is that If you truly seek God's forgiveness and you forgive yourself, then you move on. You're no longer dwelling. There's no need to dwell. Just relieve that from your heart, and you move on. And if Donald Trump has made errors in his time on this planet, I truly believe that he has overpowered them, outnumbered those few bad decisions that he's made, with so many wonderful things that he's done for mankind, which just leads me to believe that he's just like every single one of us, God-fearing, human-loving, mankind-loving, still faithful human beings who believes in the good of mankind, because God forbid we messed up one time. That's not the way that it works. That's not the way that it works. Messing up one time doesn't bar you from being a good human being. Filing bankruptcy in 4 out of 515 companies doesn't mean God doesn't forgive you. Newsflash, filing bankruptcy on 1 out of 1 companies doesn't mean God doesn't forgive you, okay? It doesn't mean anything. You can do it. How many murderers sit in jail after their whole entire life, they rot in that cell, but still, at the end of the day, have found God, so they know they're protected by the Lamb. You have no right to judge another man. That's not between you and him. That's between him and God. So I believe that Donald Trump has a heart of gold. And if he was not a man of God in some sense, he would be leading us in the same direction as the leaders that we've had, that we can clearly see do not appreciate, do not truly believe in the same God that gave his life for us. Obama and Hillary are not. They don't believe in, if they do believe in a God, I'm going to tell you right now, if they believe in any God at all, it's Allah. Okay? Bottom line. There's people like that. When you have God in your heart, you do not do what Obama and Hillary Clinton are trying to do to the people in this country, let alone the people in the world. You don't. God in your heart will not allow you to treat people, to do the things to people, to have the hatred and the carelessness and the negligence that the two of them have had for the people of this nation. With God in their heart, they never, ever, ever would have been, they wouldn't have. Your conscience does not allow that from you when you're a Christian, when you have given your life, when you have committed to being a good human being and doing the best you can and being as much like Jesus as you can. That your conscience in your heart will not allow you to do what Obama and Hillary have done, because having a heart of God, having Jesus in your heart, makes you want to be better for mankind, okay? They're not better for anyone. They're not good for themselves, okay? So how could they be good for any of us? They're not. They're just not. And the bottom line is, atheists who believe in Trump, there's a good chance they'll be converted to Christianity very soon anyways, mark my words. Trump brings with him Christianity. Whether or not he even realizes that, he brings with him the faith in God. The restoration of mankind. To get down on your knees so I can heal your land. That's what Donald Trump brought with him in comparison to what his counterparts have brought. So, God he didn't create us to end this planet. He did not bring us here to just end this world. It's just like Switchfoot says, and just like Matt said, and we were talking about the other night, we were meant to live for so much more than this, okay? This is not what we were designed for. When he made this planet and these people on it, he came here with the intention of making us a perfect species, a God-fearing, Jesus-living species, and he's been trying to make us that ever since. So all we have to do is bring as many people to him as we can, and we will find that. So that's my thoughts on God. That's my thoughts on God in this election. That's where I stand, and I don't really have any other notes. I was totally bird walking, but yeah, he is. He is. Like I said, if we lose the war in the flesh, then we haven't lost the war in the soul. We are saved. All of these people are saved. You know? Jesus sought the hearts of people all over the world who were not saved. But that didn't make him give up the battle. It didn't make him any less forgiving. You know, he still allowed that prostitute to wash his feet, even though she was a prostitute, because he sensed in her heart that the fact that even though she didn't know him and she didn't know the love of Jesus, she didn't know the love of God, she still had a heart inside her for man. And any sign that a human being has a heart inside them from man is a sign that there's something more that they just haven't been introduced to properly. Surround them with the right people with the right message, and you will bring them in. Just like the Donald Trump campaign, right? So that's what I got for you guys. I love you guys. Amen, Oliver. And I have lost a lot of friends along the way. Before this campaign even started, I've lost friends just for my own personal values. When I gave people opportunities to be a positive part of my life and they weren't, and I've had to eliminate quite a few of them. I've never stopped praying for them. I don't stop praying for any of them. You guys may not understand it, but Hillary Clinton and President Obama are in my prayers, because mankind is, this planet and everyone who resides in it is in my prayers. Right, and we don't do that anymore. I mean, that's a completely different. Now we don't. If you ever did that in this society, it would be complete. You know, like we could never get away. They would categorize you with ISIS, Andre. Like you can't do that. You know, we're in a different time where forgiveness of a person is required. You know, because that was Jesus Christ. Even Jesus Christ said to them, "Let he who is without sin be the one to cast the first stone." And even he himself didn't cast a stone. Even the most profound man, human to ever walk this planet, Jesus Christ himself, could have been the only one to cast that stone. And did he? No, because it's not about condemning fellow man. It's about praying for them until God reaches deep into them and pulls them out of the evil that the devil has sucked them into. Okay? This planet is surrounded, is being suffocated by the evil that the devil, and we knew that it was coming. Everything we've ever learned in church and Sunday school, everything you've ever learned has warned you that these days were coming. Okay? But we have the armor of God to protect ourselves from this. We don't have to just lay down and die this way. Okay? We can fight back in his name. And if we don't defeat them, we've still won. We've still won the war, because if God's main focus was just the salvation of our souls, and all we are is flesh and bodies here, then either way, if the evil on this planet defeats us, then we have still won. Yes, Scott, this is the most catastrophic election in history, which is why I sit where I am saying what I'm saying right now. Because trust me, I was full-blown in culinary school when I decided I was going to try to save the world. Shit. Carl, I got one in mind. Like I said, I haven't read the entire Bible yet, so I got one in mind. Hi, Marcy. Okay, I got the third one. Right, Oliver. I mean, we always win. The only people who ever get to win in all of this are us, are the believers. Tina Marie, I think that, first of all, major props to us for making it to RNC, because I remember 2 months ago when I was trying to warn you guys we would never make it to this day, and we did. So maybe Tina's right. Maybe it really, Tina Curry is right. Maybe it really is just a figment of our imaginations and I get too carried away. But I truly believe that we got this in the bag. I think that it's too late for martial law. Honestly, truth be told, I think it's too late. I think if it was going into effect, it would have been done by now. Other people are going to argue with me about that, but the way I see it, once martial law goes into effect, you actually have to significantly make the moves to, because like I've said multiple times, martial law is only a phrase, okay? Executive order is only a phrase, okay? He wrote that executive order into effect saying he was activating our military, but here I am married to a soldier and he's received nothing about it, okay? And it's been almost a week. So what I'm saying to you is that I believe, as close as we are to election, he knows that we have turned so many Trump supporters over now that if he declares martial law at this point, he is either stupid enough to know that he's going to die in the middle of a war, somebody's going to kill his ass for starting a war, or he's not going to start it. There's not enough time to implement the process it would take to actually put martial law into effect the way that, because let me tell you, when Turkey took over the other night, Turkey wasn't taken over. Yes, martial law did go into effect. Okay, he did. The president put martial law into effect. Don't be mistaken there. He did. He put martial law into effect because their own military had already taken over. Okay, the Peace Council had already taken over the nation, so the president, in retaliation in an effort to get control of Turkey, put martial law into effect. Okay, that's the difference. When America, if and when the moment ever came that America decided it was tired of their shit and we overthrew our government the way that Turkey just attempted to do, which I'm pretty sure they were successful in. I'm almost 100% sure that was a very successful coup. If we were ever to do what it is that Turkey just did, most likely it would take them declaring martial law, because most of the 3% is not going to get up and strap up and walk out of their house headed for the White House until Obama declares martial law. I can tell you guys a million times a day I think it's coming, but until he actually signs that piece of paper that says we are now under the effects of martial law and the grid goes out and we have no communications to be able to take care of our own lives, that is when you will see a war break out. But even then, you still have to account for the fact that martial law, when there's no actual effects going on around the nation, all it is just a scare tactic. That's all he's doing. Just like the president of Turkey put martial law into effect and then hopped in a plane and ran away seeking asylum in other nations. Like, generally a president who says he's going to put martial law into effect to do what it is President Obama thinks he's going to do right now is pretty much chalking it up as I'm ready to die. Pretty much. That's the way I see it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm not saying I'm not going to do it, but I'm not saying I wouldn't do it either. If he puts martial law into effect, there's a good chance I'd be willing to take care of the problem. I mean, if I'm willing to do it, there's a good chance there's probably a lot of Americans who are willing to do it. There's probably, Putin will do it. Hell, have faith in Putin. He's a great world leader. Oliver, people ask me all the time what I think of the Turkish coup, and honestly, if I told you what I thought of the Turkish coup, it would blow your mind, because I'm a conspiracy theorist at heart. So I truly believe that all of this shit that we see on social media and mainstream media all the time, other than what I share back and forth with you guys and all the research we do when I venture outside of our family, generally my mind is usually led to believing that all of this is nothing more than a staged distraction to stop us from putting Donald Trump in office. I have solitary information, literally confirmed information, and we'll have pictures tomorrow to actually verify that the UN is not at convention. So that's a good thing. What you're saying is true. Right, exactly. And that's exactly what I'm saying, Chad, is that if they were to ever, it's a suicide mission. Putting martial law into effect this close to an election when you have literally it would be one thing if we were 4 years back and we were all still sheep and nobody, not the masses had not figured out what's going on, but now that we've exposed so much of it, so many people are terrified that martial law is coming, even though they don't necessarily believe everything that we're telling them. So many people, when you throw the phrase martial law out there, it literally, everybody goes Richter thinking the worst is coming. Martial law, for some reason, is so intimidating to people when it's really not that intimidating at all. It's not. Because you have to consider the fact that martial law is just a phrase. And for martial law to actually work, you have to be able to outnumber the people that you're trying to police. And that just doesn't, the numbers don't add up, not even close. We far outnumber them. Even our own military is outnumbered by the 3%, okay? So, and I've told you guys millions of times, it's probably another huge blessing from God that I'm married to a soldier, so I can tell you guys that I've been vetting those statistics for years. These guys are not going to turn their backs on us, okay? They're not. Not a good enough number of them to make a difference, you guys. And yes, lives would be lost. Heroes would be lost who never thought they would go out like that if that moment ever came, if it ever arose, but they're not. There's a huge majority of the military who would stand for us. My husband would be forced to turn against me in that moment. So think about it like that. Do you think that man is going to turn around and put a bullet in my head to stop what's happening? No. You guys, the majority of the military, all 5 branches, the majority of the military is voting for Donald Trump. Okay? That right there is all you need to know. Because they know there's a chance that this is going to happen. Okay? That's it. We're fully protected. Fully protected from what they do to us. Anything they do. That's why they're trying so hard. 99% of the shit that we see is just scare tactics on TV anyways, because they control mainstream. Half of it's not real. You know? I told you guys last night in that video I wasn't being paranoid. I hadn't been drinking, nothing. I told you guys what I saw in that video last night of Philando Castillo's girlfriend, whatever the hell she is, baby mama. I said that in that video last night because you guys need to go look. You need to really go look and think to yourself, I've been arrested with my children in the car. That's not something I'm proud of. Fortunately, I didn't go to jail. It was way outside the statute of limitations in California. They couldn't do anything to me. But I was put in handcuffs and placed in the back of a car. My children didn't get in the back of the car with me, and I sure as shit didn't have my cell phone. I can promise you that, okay? It was staged, you guys. I highly doubt that man is... There's a good chance his name is not Philando Castillo. If you really want proof, go check out the 14 different GoFundMe accounts that he has she has, whoever has, that add up to like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And tell me, I mean, if you were broke and you lived in Section 8 housing in the hood and you had nothing going for you and you were just acting a fool and the officer told you, you know, like if maybe there's a chance that police officer got set up. Whatever, we don't know the situation. All I'm saying is that it was an inside job to some extent, because there's no way that would have happened. She would never have video footage of that, and her daughter would not have been in the back of that police car, okay? It's just not. You really want the truth? Because I'll tell you guys. When I was 19, I got arrested for a minor in possession of marijuana right outside the city of Bakersfield. I was out at the river with some friends, and we were just chilling, hanging out, smoking and bullshitting. And actually, truth be told, I didn't even smoke with them, but somebody I was with was getting ready to go start at the academy, and he happened to have product on him, paraphernalia on him, and I didn't want him to get in trouble, so I told him to give it to me, and I took the rap, and I took minor in possession of marijuana, under a gram of marijuana when I was 19, and I did not show up in court because I was 19 and a hooligan, and I got a failure to appear. And when I went back to California last summer, I was there for about 3 months, and I got pulled over for being on my cell phone while I was driving, pulling out of a Walmart parking lot. I got pulled over for being on my cell phone, and when he pulled me over, my wallet was at my mom's house. I didn't have my wallet on me, and I couldn't remember my Texas driver's license number, so I gave him my California ID number, and he pulled it, and they found the warrant for what he called it was a dope charge, which pissed me off even more. He called it a dope charge and put me in handcuffs and put me in the back of the car and got in the car, and I never was read my Miranda rights or anything like that. He literally walked me back there, put me in the back of the car and sent me down, took the handcuffs off, put me in the back of the car. And I waited until he came back, and he called the county outside of our county and found out how old it was. Literally like a decade old, you guys. I mean, it's been years and years and years since it happened, but it was the first time I was ever pulled over in California. And so obviously after, you know, like an hour of waiting too damn long in the back of that car, he came back and told me it was way outside the statute of limitations. They removed the charge because they didn't extradite me, and now I'm free to go. I can travel in the state of California again, and it was stupid. Yes, Tina Marie, it was very staged. I'm going to tell you guys right now, the reason that I even was led down this road, the incident in this nation that led me to start doing my research was the Sandy Hook shooting, you guys. The Sandy Hook shooting was extremely staged, you guys. And when I realized that it was staged, I started really digging, and I realized that most of it was staged. There's quite a bit of shit that's staged that comes across mainstream, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Philando Castillo was not murdered, okay? He was not murdered. The logistics don't make sense on the bullet. None of it makes sense. None of it. I could go on for days about the details of that situation that were not accurate, okay? Even my husband and Junior tried to argue with me about it last night, and it did not. When he showed me that video, I was angry at him for his negligence in having common sense about what he was saying, because he's black, and if he's really against the cops and says that the cops are doing corrupt shit they shouldn't be doing, then he should know for a fact that if the cops were doing corrupt shit they shouldn't be doing, there's no way in hell she would have had her cell phone in the back of the car to prove that what she was saying was true. That doesn't line up at all. So it's all a big ass puzzle, dude. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just a big puzzle. You just have to care enough to know better. Okay? If you care enough to know better than to just be fed like a media-ridden sheep, then you're fine. You're safe. All roads will lead to success if you just wisen up, you know? Just be smarter than that. Be smarter than they are, because they're all just stupid as shit. None of them, half those anchors don't even know the shit that they're spewing to us is just rhetoric. They have no idea what they're talking about. They don't. They don't know that in comparison to somebody like me who spends all day doing research, half the shit that they say is not even anywhere near as accurate as half the shit that all of the shit that I tell you guys, you know? Like, I'm not gonna ever be able to believe a word that comes out of CNN's mouth again, you know? So it's just a matter of caring enough. It's about having heart, caring enough about your own life and caring enough about other people's lives to make a difference. So all those wonderful things that Chad, please do, because I've been trying to break through with that guy for so damn long, and I honestly, like I said when I called him out yesterday about making him prove to me that he voted for Hillary Clinton, and he said, oh really, we can't be friends? That's the truth, and if he's watching, he should know that's the truth. If he does not verify to me, if he can actually prove to me that he truly believed in her enough to check her name on the ballot, as disappointed as I am, at least he stood for what he believed in. But the truth of the matter is, I honestly think that it's just what somebody told me last night, that he just likes the sound of his own voice, but he doesn't have anything to back it up with, and so he just argues with me because he's black and he thinks that's what he's supposed to do. But I know the heart of that guy. I know that he's better than that. I know he cares about mankind. I know he's not racist. That's why it makes me so angry. That's why he gets me so worked up, because I know better than that. I know him. He knows him better than that. He's just acting like a media-ridden sheep. But he's also one of the proudest people I've ever met, and to admit that he is wrong is going to take serious, serious work. So if you have anything for me, send it. Because I'm telling you, I can't imagine my life without that guy in it. He's one of my best friends, but I'm going to tell you right now, I can't imagine my life with him in it if he votes for Hillary Clinton. Good, do it. Please do. He's so close. He knew as soon as we got off last night that he was just, I told him, I said, dude, I love you to death. I do. I've always been on your team. We've always been brother and sister, but dude, I'm going to tell you right now, because I love you, you look like a fucking idiot. Excuse my language, but you look like an idiot. You sounded like an idiot. You sounded ill-educated. You sounded racist. You sounded hateful. You sounded everything that we could possibly say about you is how you sounded. And that's the last thing I want for someone that I associate myself with. You know, I don't want to stand here and argue with this fool every night. I want to come to a common ground where we can figure out what the two of us can do. You know, it'd be great to say that me and my black homeboy Junior could sit down and make viral videos for everybody, because we weren't white, black, or otherwise. We were both. We were all the above, and we included everyone, you know, and nobody could say anything about it, but I can't get him there yet, you know. Even when I try to bribe him with making him viral, it doesn't work, so. Dude, I've made him cry before. It's okay. He'll be alright. I love Outlaw. I got the luxury of meeting Outlaw not too long ago. Speaking of Outlaw, I'm going to drill this home before I get off here. You guys, if you're not watching the American Rebellion yet, dude, the Rebellion's on Wednesday nights, and I have serious verification that they're next, oh my god, just be on the Rebellion, you guys, on Wednesdays. I always share the link so that you guys can be there, but I got confirmation tonight that they have some seriously sick guests lined up coming up, so you guys need to be on it, because they know their shit. Yeah, it's, oh man, I can't wait. I wish I could tell you guys. Holy shit, I wish I could tell you guys. It's amazing. So be there for the Rebellion this week. That's where I met Outlaw Morgan. I was on the Rebellion like a week after my first video went viral. I got to the pleasure of guest starring on the Rebellion, and I think I talked too much because they haven't asked me to come back yet, but that's okay, because I like listening to them anyways. I learn a lot from that show. But then Outlaw was on the fall. No, Jeremy was on, and then Outlaw was on, and Jeremy and I both got to meet Outlaw, and that was really cool. Outlaw's a cool dude. I'm like creeping on his status. I'm gonna go find him in Florida, wherever he's at. I pray for that every day, Oliver. I appreciate that. If you guys want to pray for Junior, I mean,
the reason I exposed you guys to that last night rather than getting off is because that's what my life is like on a regular basis. I have that argument with people most of the time because I'm so, you know, all over. I mean, my camping trip, we had some friends come out this weekend for our camping trip, and I'm like every 5 minutes, look at my phone, look at what's going on, look at, oh my God, you guys. Is broadcasting, what are you looking for? Chad, make that video. Please do. I haven't made him cry in a really long time. So yeah, I think that it was wonderful. I think that it was a wonderful way to start. I think it was a fantastic way to show anybody who was watching that's not already a Trump supporter, or even people who were watching that are just Cruz supporters. I think it was a fantastic way to show them who we, the people who we want to go in, you know, where we stand. And hopefully that'll be the end of it. If it's not, then we'll deal with it when the time comes. But I truly think that that was a really good way to start it. Yeah. I think they really said, especially the sheriff David said some seriously good things about these cops, you know, and Donald, I think the one thing that stood out in my mind about the police officers the most is probably the most common sense, logical thing that anybody could say, and it came, of course, from Donald himself when he said in that ad, police are the only thing standing between civilization and pure chaos. And if anybody thinks that that's not true, go stand in the middle of the street in Dallas when the police officers are being shot at execution style and see where you end up when it's over. Because I promise you right now, we're all heading one direction. And it's sad to think that anybody would crucify the people that they expect to protect them. If you want to say, it's just like that meme, if you want to say F the police, then you no longer get the luxury of their protection when you're in a situation. You protect your damn self, okay? And the majority of the people who are saying F the police are the same ones who don't believe in the right to own weapons, or own weapons to protect themselves. So there's a good chance they're not going to be able to protect themselves from those very police officers who are able to protect themselves. So again, it's just a really horrible, contradictory situation. You know, you have to chalk them up as too damn dumb to figure it out. And if they die in the process, they die in the process. I mean, maybe that's not the most Christian-like thing to say, but it is the facts, okay? It is the way that it is. So, at the end of the day, blue lives matter the most. Honestly, truthfully, blue lives are probably the most important lives of all right now in America. Because if they go down, we're screwed. We are screwed without them, okay? Like, maybe we can win the war, but without them, we're definitely gonna have to fight it. I can promise you that. So, pray for our cops. I know, stupid little stuffed animals. I always lose all my money. I never even win the stupid stuffed animal either, and it's just pointless. We do everybody wants Donald Trump, because people don't think about the fact that if you're the greatest nation on earth, and the president that resides over the greatest nation on earth is obviously going to have the borderline the most power of all world leaders, every single nation outside of ours is being affected by this election. As I've said multiple times, if America falls to socialism, the whole world is done. So that's the bottom line. We cannot allow this. We can't allow this. Socialism is the end of the road for us. So we do all we can to stop it. Exactly. And they'll eliminate, honestly, truth be told, because they legally, before we are, legally, they are allowed to take lives if that's what it comes down to. So they're going to eliminate most of the threat before we have to. Without them, we're left to fight our own battle, you know. They're strapped in ways that we don't even understand, you know, and have the capability to become more strapped if they run out of being strapped the way that we don't. So eliminating our police officers is completely unacceptable. I don't care how many people I have to kill to stop that from happening. We're not going to stand by for that. We're just not. And we're not going to re-elect a piece of shit president, or elect a president, like you said, a third term for Obama. We're not going to do that. No way. No way. Nothing has gotten better. It's time for change. So, we'll be all right. As long as we protect our police officers, all these minorities will have no choice but to fall in line, because they certainly don't outnumber us. What they should do is really sit back and think about whether or not they want to go to war with white people, or I should say Trump supporters. It's not even just white people. Do you really want to go to war against the Trump family? Because we're huge. We're huge, yo. Bring your asses. I stay strapped. So, that's my Hell yeah. Oliver, one of these days, I've told my husband one of these days, I'm really going to actually sit down and make a video for you guys, like a solitary video, not a live, just a video, and tell you guys the experiences I've had with police officers. Because believe me, I have had a ridiculous amount of encounters with police officers up until when I moved to Kansas from Texas. I had my last, no, not even then. On our trip on the wedding weekend, we had an encounter with police officers. And that particular encounter with police officers is what restored my faith entirely in police officers as a whole, because they saved our asses while we were at the wedding in Illinois, okay? So I have nothing. My mom said that. She said that she was so proud of herself when she voted for Reagan, and still somehow I'm still having to try to teach her why, to show her why Trump and Reagan were so much alike. But I think she's just given up on voting, period. She's just, people have just lost hope, except us. So, but I think having a conversation with any one of us Trump supporters who knows our shit can help restore faith in anyone. So, keep fighting the good fight. And I'm gonna get my ass off here. This was supposed to be like a 15-minute live, and here we are 2 hours later again. But I didn't get to talk to you guys all night, so I'm gonna get off. But yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like we're in a really good place. I feel like we've set ourselves up for success here, and we have a powerhouse of a team, and we're surrounded by powerhouses of teams. So it's gonna be wonderful. There's nothing but wonderful things. And when he said tonight, Ronald Reagan said that the best days in America are yet to come. I mean, if he's right, then they didn't get better after he got out, which means there's only one direction we can go now. So let's head that way. Okay, so Oliver, if you want to give me a call, I got my Skype set up on the tablet, which is now charging. So if you want to give me a call in the morning, I'll post on Facebook when I'm awake, and then you can just let me know. But it's Angie, the number 4, America, on Skype. And we can go over your interview, and then I'm pretty sure that I think that we should go ahead and maybe try to get your interview in there in the middle of convention tomorrow. We'll take if there's a break or something, or, you know, the Never Trump's throw fit again, we'll go ahead and do it tomorrow. And we can go over how you feel about what's going on from the outside tomorrow, and then launch it, because we need to get that done. We're too close to election to not have this international connection going on. You too, Andre. Thank you for joining us. I'm so glad to meet all of you. I can't wait to meet all of you in person one of these days. Can't wait. I'm gonna need a cabinet someday, or, you know, we're gonna have to fill the Congress, and I'm gonna have to expose all the shitty ones. You know, we'll figure it out. I'll meet y'all someday. Much love, y'all. I will see you guys in the morning. If you guys have any more questions, just post them on this, and I'll take care of it. Oliver, I should be up probably around 8. So I don't know. I guess that's like probably 8 your time and then nighttime, whatever. So yeah, on Skype. Yeah. Angie for America, the number 4. So just message me yours, because I have it on Justin's from the other night, but I don't have it on mine. So just message me from yours, and I'll hit you up. I'll send you a message when I get up, when we can go over it. It's like a FaceTime, like a video chat where you can just, you and I should chat. Honestly, you should Skype me this week too. We should go over some stuff too. You too, Matthew. Good night, Jackie. It was lovely talking to all of you. I hope tomorrow's just as wonderful as today was, because today was pretty badass. So let me know if you guys have anything. I'm going to hit the sack, so I'm ready for tomorrow. Much love, y'all. All right, Oliver, that's fine. That'll work. I'll be up. And then we'll have enough time. All right, cool. Good night, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. MAGA.